Buongiorno ragazzi del VCE Italian, you guys studying for your Italian exam in Victoria. Today we're going to talk about your oral exam, in particular the discussion. So in the discussion part of your oral exam, you have to bring an image, a photo, or without any writing on it. And what we are going to do today is to look at how to use that image to initiate your discussion. So that's the second segment of your oral exam. It goes for about 7-8 minutes, and is usually a cultural product or something that allows you to connect to the Italian lifestyle and also the things that you've studied. So what we're going to use today is an approach that is also used in English, and it goes under the acronym of NICE. And as you can see here, I'm just going to enlarge this image. You have, it gives you a few steps on how to describe a photo. So first, by noticing what's in it, and talk about the elements, the various elements. So the more you get a photo that has a lot of maybe people and things, and it's pretty full of elements you can talk about, the better it is. Then you give your interpretation and how, as you can see, this fits into the context. Obviously, this will be a cultural context, and depending also on the time, if it is a photo is set in the past or in the present. And then finally, the evaluation. E stands for evaluation, or in Italian you can see the valutazione. And this is when you make your connection, you make your comparisons, and that's where the discussion actually starts. So let's have a look at this example. So we've got here an image taken in an Italian town with a number of elderly people that are simply sitting down on a footpath and looking at the life goes by. And it is a pretty typical image of Italy, especially in summer and especially in the town that are not super busy. Obviously, this is a street that doesn't have too much traffic on it, but it does tell us quite a few things. It tells us that there is the social life, and we're going to interpret that in a second, is very much one of the strengths of Italians, and that's why many people like the Italian lifestyle. So let's have a look on how we can unpack this photo. So we're going to start with the first step. So we're going to go with the N, and in this case we are going to follow those steps that you find here. If there is a title or if there is an author of this image that you can tell, and then you can just start saying simply what you see there. What are the expressions that we use in Italian? We're going to try to be objective as much as we can. C'è, ci sono, si vede, or si vedono. That's a pretty typical. But also you need to talk about gli oggetti, le persone, o I colori, le forme. So these are all elements that allows you to talk about more about the composition of your image. So let's have a look at this example. L'immagine mostra una vivace piazza italiana, e ci sono uomini seduti. Questi sono gli uomini seduti. Alcuni parlano, altri si riposano. You can talk about also what they're doing, okay? Cosa si vede? Si vede che ci sono degli edifici piuttosto vecchi e storici, e una tipica città italiana, probabilmente d'estate, quando fa caldo. They're all wearing like t-shirts, shirts, so it's probably summertime. What else do we see? We see biciclette. Probably those men have been riding their bike to this, maybe could be a social club or un circolo per anziani o un caffè, magari un posto dove si incontrano. That applies probably where they meet and where they we can see them like just enjoying each other company and see what's going on. So this is the first section. So you notice that in this first section, we do need to be very specific with the words. So whatever your image is about, you need to make sure that you are the master of all the, you know all the words of the elements, mainly the nouns, obviously, but also what people are doing, so the verbs. And you need to do your homework on this. So you don't want an examiner to point out, oh, what's this? What are they doing? And then you don't know what they're saying. So let's move to the next section. So that's the E or I in English for interpretation. So this is when the discussion and your presentation becomes more meaningful, because you are trying to make connection from what you see and why do they matter. What is the purpose? Are there some emotions or some ideas that we can extrapolate from them? You can use verbs such as significa, rappresenta, trasmette, evoca. But also you can use the fare, fa pensare, that's what we call the fare causativo, when something makes you think or makes you reflect on something. Highlight, sottolinea, these are all synonyms, those verbs. So let's have a look how we unpack that in the image. La scena rappresenta bene la natura sociale e comunitaria delle piazze italiane. So we got a couple of adjectives to describe the situation. Gli uomini che si riuniscono fanno vedere il forte senso di comunità. So this is something certainly that you can highlight. The fact that at this age people are able to socialize, meet their friends, have a purpose, enjoy also the life of the village or the town they're in. It is absolutely a good thing, una cosa molto buona. L'architettura, obviously you would have more information about the elements of your image. I just chose a picture from the internet, so I'm not sure if exactly what town this one is or if there is a special event that is going on. Okay, but we can also see that gli anziani possono andare in bicicletta. So the fact that the old people can ride their bike, okay, we can see here, some of them obviously got a scooter. It's a sign that they are independent, that they go out, quindi gli anziani hanno una vita sociale molto attiva, quindi fanno esercizio, vanno con la bicicletta, and we also see them to be in a pretty good shape, a nice tan in their face, which is obviously is a really good sign of health. So it's certainly a lifestyle which is very healthy. Salutare or sano, okay? Lo stile di vita. That's certainly part of the interpretation of this image. Okay, the context. Now the context also has to do with the when and where. So you're going to be the expert of your image. You're going to know if the image is an image taken from the Renaissance period. You're going to talk about that period. If it is something about a recent event in Italy or something that's more modern, you also need to do the research about the time and the place where that image was taken. How does it relate to the context? If your image is part of other works, let's say you choose an image of Renaissance, a painting of Renaissance, obviously you got to give it a context. If it is just a picture on its own that is related just to one topic, different topic, in that case, you obviously need to unpack that one. And that's what we're going to do now. So let's place this in the broader context. So the image is always the same, obviously. Quindi il contesto è la piazza, luogo di incontro, punto di incontro nelle città, che è molto importante per gli italiani. E quindi in questa piazza ci sono gli abitanti del posto, magari ci sono anche dei visitatori, dei turisti che non vediamo, maybe we don't see that, ma vediamo la cosa importante è la socializzazione e questo ha delle conseguenze positive sulla salute delle persone. Quindi l'Italia è uno dei paesi dove si vive più a lungo. So this is the longevity, la longevità, as Italy is well known around the world as probably I think is the second country after Japan in terms of life expectancy, longevity of its inhabitants, which is something to very much to be proud of. Although there are lots of other issues, but certainly no one can deny that this lifestyle is also one of the reasons why in Italy people live longer than other places. And then we go to the last part. So the last element, the E of nice at the end, stands for evaluate. Now this is when you gotta be more subjective. So you go from objective, what you see, what we can all agree on, to your opinion. And your opinion are subjective. And this is when you make your personal reflection, your assessment of the image. You can explain why you chose it, whether it is related to something that maybe in this case I might have chosen this image because it reminded me of my grandfather in Italy going with his bike and catching up with his friends and play cards at the bar. But everyone would have a story behind the reason of that image. Obviously, in some schools, the teacher chooses the images. In some other instances, you'll be able to choose your own and connect it to your own interest. But no matter where the image comes from, you need to unpack what is the message and what is the evaluation that you give of it. So you can see here the use of secondo me to give your opinion. Secondo me queste persone non si sono date appuntamento ma vanno in piazza perché sanno che troveranno qualcuno. They know they're gonna find someone. Abitano tutti vicino, quindi sono parte di una comunità, hanno la compagnia degli amici, probabilmente sono tutti pensionati, so maybe they're all pensioners, so you can obviously speculate because you are, but in this case is because it's an image taken from the internet with no reference to a topic that you have studied. It could be referencing the lifestyle in Italy and the Italian lifestyle, but if you choose something that you have studied in class and you've done a lot of background information, you will be able to say why they're there, what is the consequence of that behavior, and how is this different or similar to what we have in Australia. So this is the comparison, and you can see it here when you use a contrasting connector like invece, but you can use others like tuttavia, mentre. In Australia gli anziani si incontrano in posti prestabiliti. So it's not common to see many old people in the streets just waiting for life to pass by, and this is for the architecture of the cities is different. Usually the old people usually catch up, si incontrano in un club o in un centro sociale, but they don't really take their bike and go somewhere and then just wait there. It can happen, but it's certainly not in the same fashion that it does happen in Italy. So why is it different? Because it's a more modern country. There is probably less connection amongst the people. People tend to live a bit more isolated, a bit more a reserved life rather than and they like to be more like in their own private spaces rather than being in the streets like those people. And then here there is also the connection to the longevity, the lifestyle, lo stile di vita, and So this is a way in which you can unpack a photo. I'm just going to show you some other images that can be good ideas for you to practice this 4 steps sort of way to say what you see, what's your interpretation of it, what is the context of that image, and also obviously your evaluation. I chose some photos of Italian, obviously, landscapes, Italian traditions, connection to the immigration, or Italian, again, connection to religion, and so on. Okay, so I hope that this will help your discussion. Buona fortuna, and leave a comment if you want this PowerPoint. I will put it in YouTube. Ok, grazie, arrivederci.